Our Across the Aisle segment tonight. The Washington Post ran a profile last week of Karen Pence, the wife of Vice President Mike Pence. In the profile, it was revealed that Vice President Pence does not eat alone with other women, or attend events with alcohol without the presence of his wife. Liberals threw a fit over this, accusing Pence of sexism, even comparing his choices to Sharia law. Ridiculous. With me now, Democratic strategist Avery Jaffe. Avery, thanks for being here.
Liz, thanks for having me.
All right, Avery, I want you to weigh in on this, because when I saw this unfolding yesterday and the day before, my thought was, if mocking a man, in this case Mike Pence, regardless of his politics, for being faithful to his wife is a commentary on, the modern liberal mindset or liberal feminists, that's just sad.
Well, I think we have an answer now to why the White House is having so much trouble finding women to be in pictures inside of the Oval Office. Seriously, though, I don't want to get anything twisted. Marriage is personal. It is unique to each and every couple. So I don't want to comment on Mike Pence's marital choices, because ultimately, that's up to him and everyone is different. I will say, however, I think this was an interesting moment for liberals to learn how the other half lives, to understand that people like Mike Pence, people within the born-again movement, within the evangelical movement, have these views as it relates to being around women. So.
I don't even know if it's specific to the evangelical movement. I mean, when you're in a position of power like that, when you travel a lot, there are certain courtesies that you would extend to your spouse, I would think, in regards to fidelity, especially if there's those temptations along the way. And to be honest, Avery, it shocked me yesterday when liberals, particularly on Twitter, were comparing his actions, comparing how he treated women to Sharia law. I mean, that is absurd.
I think it is, that specifically is an absurd accusation. Look, this is an article from a 2002 or 2005 Hill piece that people only were just reminded of because it was parenthetically mentioned within the Washington Post. But what is interesting that's come out of this story is that there are more reports now of members of Congress who refuse to just take meetings with women alone, which many liberals, many Democrats find to be offensive to women because it assumes them to be sexual objects rather than individuals who can do their jobs.
Right, but Mike Pence never said that he didn't meet with women in the workplace. He said he didn't dine individually with women without his wife present. That's pretty different. I mean, taking another woman out on a date versus having a meeting with a woman in the office, those are two entirely different things.
There are two different things. What is interesting is the reports that have come out since, members of Congress admitting to that, saying that it's normal. What is specific to Mike Pence is that you probably can't find a more anti-woman politician within the Republican Party than himself. The fact is that this is the same Governor Pence who was called down to the Senate to break the tie within that legislative body that would allow states to defund Planned Parenthood specifically for political purposes.
Right. How is that anti-woman?
Because in Mike Pence's Indiana in 2015, there was an HIV outbreak in one of the rural counties as a result of Planned Parenthood being defunded.
Right, but that's not what it's about. There's a huge divide in our nation between people who are pro-life and people who are pro-abortion. There's a majority of people in our nation who think abortion is immoral, who don't want our tax money, and I'm among this group, who don't want our tax money going to the abortion giant of America. Planned Parenthood provides 30% of the abortions across our country. I mean, that's what it's about. It's not about the other services. It's about abortion here.
Well, I think we can all agree that taxpayer money probably shouldn't be going to abortion, which makes it great that it isn't. The Hyde Amendment has been in place for decades, and
Avery, money is fungible. I mean, I talked about this yesterday on the show. If that's the only argument that liberals have about federal funding going to Planned Parenthood, I don't think it's a very good one. Money is fungible. If you have $10 and you want to buy something, someone gives you $10 other, then you don't have to use the $10 they gave you to buy it. You can use your already existing money. You just move it around. Everyone knows that. So when our money, over $1 million a day, goes to Planned Parenthood, it enables them to have the abortion business that they have.
When we talk about defunding Planned Parenthood, what we really mean is not treating Planned Parenthood like any other medical provider, reimbursing them for services that they provide. And Planned Parenthood only requests reimbursement for non-abortion funding, and they do that by the book to the letter of the law, as they have always done. What is interesting, though, is in this debate, we've lost sight of the fact that Mike Pence, though he's loyal to his wife, we can't necessarily say that he respects or trusts women as it relates to this issue of choice.
Right, but if you're talking about Planned Parenthood again, I mean, they commit over 323,000 abortions every year. assuming that half of pregnancies are girls, since that's what the statistics tells us, that's 161,000 baby girls that are aborted every year by Planned Parenthood. I would sit here and argue that Mike Pence is extremely pro-woman, because not only does he care about born women, he cares about these women who are in vulnerable situations, who are so easy to exploit because they have no voice to defend themselves. He's standing up for them, and isn't that exactly what men are supposed to do when it comes to women?
Well, if you believe in Republican politics that say that the government should decide what women do, maybe that's the case. But for Democrats such as myself, we believe in trusting women, allowing them to make their own choices. And I couldn't possibly make that decision in the most personal circumstances for somebody else. Therefore, I wouldn't want somebody to make it for me if I were in that situation.
No, and I have all the compassion in the world for these women who face crisis pregnancies. You know, we all have friends, we all have family who've gone through that. It's heartbreaking, it's tragic. You know, one of the best things that we can do, I don't need to tell you this, is to be there for them and to love them and support them. But your argument is based off of the premise that there's only one woman involved in an abortion, that it's just women going and getting, you know, something removed, as if you were going to get a mole removed from your arm. But that's not the case, Avery. Science tells us that there's two people involved in an abortion, that life begins at conception. Scientifically, I'm not even talking about religiously or morally, scientifically, a new human person is formed from the moment of conception. So when you talk about government, you not wanting government to get involved in this decision, this woman's decision, what about the decision of that unborn person?
That's for somebody a larger power than me to talk about.
Who? Politicians?
Well, it depends on how you determine what life is. And for me, I try not to get into that because, again, I'm a man and I'm not trying to.
Right, but is science not good enough to determine when life begins?
No, surely we understand the concept of embryonic fertilization, of course, but I don't think that government should be in the business of legislating when that begins. I think that the Roe v. Wade standard.
Then why is government in the business of legislating that it's murder to kill a born baby? Then, if government shouldn't be in the business of declaring when a person is a person, why can they declare it's a person after it's born?
One of those things has to do with the 14th Amendment and determining citizenship upon being a birthright citizen of the U.S. But to the issue of respecting women, look, Planned Parenthood is not only, abortion is the minority of services that Planned Parenthood provides. And oftentimes they are the only medical provider to women and men in these types of communities like rural Indiana that Governor Pence, Vice President Pence served as governor. So if we want to talk about respecting women, we should respect the women who are trying to avoid easily preventable diseases through their Planned Parenthood, which is just providing them simple contraception.
No, I've heard that argument before. I've heard that argument. I don't think fundamentally we disagree that we want to provide women with access to affordable health care, especially low-income women who may otherwise choose not to get that health care. But, I mean, Planned Parenthood is outnumbered 10-1 with community health clinics. They don't need to go to Planned Parenthood, so I don't know if that argument stands up. Avery.